Hey, my friends, happy Good Friday. It's another Friday, and I got to give a shout out before I even go any further. Howdy, let's go. Barry Brocksterman, I know you were embarrassed last week when Kirsten took you 2 weeks in a row. I love that competition. Anyway, welcome to another Friday, and it's a big Friday because it's Good Friday. But I was just talking with Wes and our incredible guest Harry today. That's going to be on today offline here a minute ago, and I was telling him I just got back, as many of you know that follow me, from an 11-day hashtag Road Warrior Randy trip. I got into the airport with no issues this time, which was kind of nice, and got home about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, just in time to get ready and get prepared. And it's been a great week and a half of little family tied in there, and a lot of work with customers, customer events, and good times. So today we are going to have just a good old fashioned sales guy to sales guy or sales dude to sales dude talk. Harry is an author of Selling with Dignity, which is an area that's pretty important and meaningful to me. He's a podcaster, Sales Made Easy. I think I got that right, Harry. You'll correct me in a minute if I'm wrong. And does a lot of work with clients, coaching, teaching, training, and just an all around great guy. And he's a fellow Floridian, which is even better yet. So there we go. We will be right back. And do not go away. You don't want to miss my friend Harry. Hey, Harry, how are you, my friend?
Randy, what is the good word, man?
Yeah,
Great to be here. Are we live? Are we
we are
live?
live,
I'm
buddy.
so
We are live.
nervous.
I know, don't be nervous. If we could, it'll be on Memorex later, which is for all of
Oh,
you people that would. Okay,
that'd
I
be our age.
that'd be our age. Yeah, my buddy Barry, who is actually going to be on our show in a couple of weeks, next week, I think. Uh, one of two shows next week. But Barry's an old school road warrior himself. It's just that he's more our son's age, Harry, which is just embarrassing as all get
Oh
out.
my goodness. Yeah. Well, the whole live or Memorex, right? We used to have cassette recordings
Hmm.
or tapes, cassette tapes. And you probably remember a time or two where those things would unravel and
Oh
you're
yeah,
taking pencils and trying to splice them together. See?
he puts a pencil in. Exactly. I keep a pencil around still just because of that.
Oh man, the world has gotten so much better. We
It
don't have
has.
to wind cassette tapes anymore. So,
That
what's a
was.
good word today, man?
It's just like I said. I'm still pumped up and geeked up from the road. I know that you're an old sales pro for a long, long time, and it takes a while to. Uh, I do not remember dinosaurs. T-Rex. Barry. I did get. I'm going off subject already, Harry. But I do. My inspiration to get in better shape was years ago when I was maybe not in really good shape. And my boys used to always say I looked like T-Rex and I had short arms. And I,
Oh,
which was not very nice. But
that's not
anyway,
nice.
that was not nice. So
Right.
just in case
Alligator arms, maybe, but not T
yeah,
Rex arms.
not T-Rex arms. I was going for Popeye arms, but then again, see, nobody know Popeye either, probably.
True.
But yeah, so yeah, I got back, but I get back from the road and you'd met the the lovely Dixie chick a couple minutes ago off air, and it's good that she was gone for a while when I got home because I realized that I drive her nuts when I get home because I'm still in that road warrior mentality, right? Just
Hmm.
and only because like you do, Harry, and as we roll into our discussion, when you love what you do and do what you love, which we do, you just get cranked up over it, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so you're out with a client today. You're doing a little road warrior stuff today, I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Like to help people grow their sales and be better at the craft, right? Not a lot of people want to do that. They just assume that because they're in sales, that they know how to sell, which is not necessarily the case,
Exactly. Road
right?
Warrior Harry. I like that. You got your own hashtag now, buddy. Road
I
Warrior Harry.
do. Look at this. I
Okay.
love the Road Warrior.
Okay. Do you want to take a minute to soak this in? Because I mean, this is kind of big.
Okay.
Just okay. We'll take a minute.
All right. I'm
Okay.
relaxed. I'm soaked in now. Get the
That was
little bright light here. I'm under the
I
bright
know.
lights. Ask
I
me
know.
any
There you
questions.
go. There
You
you
know,
go. Oh,
I'll force the truth to come out. I'll take some kind of nerve or tickling or what do you call it? Truth serum,
truth serum. There we
something.
go. We got
Yes.
here you under the bright light. So I mentioned that you. Let's talk about your podcasting first.
Okay.
One before we do that, even
Okay.
Harry, give me the who is Harry Spaight. Let's do that first. Give us
All
the
right.
background, who you are, why you are, what you are.
Wow. Okay. So yes. So you got my name, and I appreciate you pronouncing it right. So my story is real quick. I am a former missionary that got into sales when my wife said, "Enough with this missionary stuff. Are we ever going to have kids?" So we were in the Dominican Republic. I thought about what could I possibly do. I used to run a janitorial business, house painting, all kinds of weird things, anything to make a buck to support the mission work. And I said, I don't want to do that again because I was in my mid 30s. Someone suggested I'd be okay in sales. I thought about that. So I ended up coming back to the States and getting in sales and figuring out that being the pushy, always be closing sales type was not for me. So I started to develop through people like Zig Ziglar and Og Mandino, greatest salesman in the world, that sales could come from a place of serving. And so I went after that and created a career in leadership. I did the same way as leading from a service mindset and yeah, built a career out of that. And now I'm just trying to help others to do the same.
That's
So
awesome.
thanks for asking.
Well, of course. So you do some training, teaching, coaching as well as your podcast and 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 being a book writer.
Yeah, do all of that. So yeah, sales is one of those things that I don't believe you can ever get too much coaching and guidance on it, right? Because there are so many nuances. Like I feel bad for people who never had any sales coaching and are lone wolves, so to speak, right? So they have to analyze every sales call themselves without anyone to bounce it off. And
Right.
having someone to bounce an idea off or what could I have done better, because there's all kinds of personalities, there's all kinds of nuances with tones, questions being raised, and we blow sales all the time. I mean, I still blow sales, meaning that I lose, right?
Yeah.
And you want to reflect and say, what the heck could I have done better? And bouncing that off of someone else is a good thing, right?
Is it?
Do you do the same? You win all of your sales opportunities anyway. So what am I thinking?
Absolutely. And if I don't, then I come home and go, that idiot customer, he
You're
doesn't know what he's
right.
doing. What's wrong with
That's
him?
true. Yes, I have clients. So there's two types of people in the world, or three: clients, people that don't know me yet, and the idiots that know me and don't buy from me.
Exactly.
Right? That's the way a
Exactly.
lot of salespeople think, but we're not like that, are we,
That we're not
Randy?
like that. We're not like that.
No,
Hey,
not at all.
we just had a guy pop up. I think you know Marsh Boyce. Do you know Marsh?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You
Uh,
guys should know each other.
okay, I would
I'll
never have
introduce.
said Boyce, so I'm glad you
I
said
believe
his
I got
name.
it right. Marsh, phonicize that for me, buddy. If I got that right,
D
he
O
was on my
Y C
he was
E.
on my show, so I should have had it right.
Oh
But
yeah, you got it down.
I think I got it right. But
Yeah.
he does a podcast and just uh, the only thing that I dislike about Marsh is his voice because it's too good. I hate it.
Oh man.
Ah, I
Yeah.
mean
It's not
he's
the raspy, obnoxious voice like ours.
no, I sometimes I feel like laying down on a couch and getting a psychiatrist sitting and talking to me. He's got that smooth jazz. He could do.
Oh yeah.
I think
Like
he.
smooth jazz.
Yeah, I think he should be a
Smooth
DJ for a
jazz
smooth
with
jazz.
marsh
Yeah.
voice.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Please.
Got it.
Anyway, I'll introduce you guys via messenger later. Yeah, so
Okay.
you guys should know each other. But
Fantastic.
so anyway, so we like
Oh,
ice,
it's like ice.
bice,
So it's not
bice,
voice, it's
bice, bice,
bice.
it's
Okay.
bice.
Ice
So
bice.
it's like kind of like bice, baby, right? Okay, I had to
Okay.
go there. All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, before I go off really off the rails on that, so tell me about your tell me about your podcast. Let's talk about your podcast that you do, because obviously you do training, and I know your podcast. I watch it all the time. I listen to it, and I love the fact that I enjoyed it. I got to do it firsthand. I think you and I did one together a couple of weeks ago that I think you're putting out in another week or two or three whenever you drop it, unless you threw it away
Yeah, it
after
will
I
be
got done.
out.
But
Yeah, it's I've got such a backlog. What I love podcasting. I When I was in high school, I wanted to be a radio disc jockey. And so when I got out of high school, I immediately called a radio station and asked if they needed, someone like me. And they said no. It's like you have no experience. You're just out of high school. And I thought, okay, that must mean I'll never be in radio. So I gave up the idea because I was one of those, unfortunately, that did not have a growth mindset. And I thought no meant no forever.
uh,
So I digress. So now with podcasting, like you, we get to have all kinds of fun, meet all kinds of exciting, interesting, and motivating people. And I absolutely love it. So the theme behind Sales Made Easy is to show people that sales doesn't have to be this thing where we know all the tactics, that we know every sales strategy, that we can actually just be pretty good people. I mean, good people, and just pretty good at communicating. And we can do very well in sales with a little bit of coaching and guidance. So that's the gist of it. And I have a lot of people who are on it for the first time. I'm finding that my new thing is I want people who've never podcasted before,
okay,
and give them a chance because someone gave me a chance
right.
and I loved it. And maybe I'll open up the doors for someone else. So it's fun doing that too. Sound is always a little interesting when someone has no microphone and they're speaking from way back here and so forth. But it's all good.
It is, and it's funny because when I run a gambit of people that's on our show because we generally when Wes and I put this together, it was to go to our industry, my industry, the building
Yeah.
or the construction world, the pay it forward, right on, Marsh, right on, buddy. Uh, but which is the metal roofing and the post frame building and the construction world, and so I wanted to bring people like yourselves, people like Marsh, like Ben Gay the third, like Ken Walls. I mean, we've had it. I don't want to keep naming because
Hmm.
I'll forget people I don't want to forget.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and this is your show today. But the point is, I wanted to bring people like that to my audience that might never find a Harry Spaight, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And but then I also mix in with people from the industry, right? That customers of mine, manufacturers that I work with, to talk
Hmm.
real industry stuff, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Um, but my point to what you just said that's interesting was that yes, I remember the first live show I did, and Wes will remember this because we were going to do it January 3rd ish, I think, of last year, whatever the first, we did have a Tuesdays to start, I believe, the first Tuesday of the year, and I kept going, well, I know, but you need a little more time to get ready, with the producing directing thing, right? We can push it up, and he knew what I was doing, and he goes, no. I'm already putting it on Facebook. It's going to be live, and you're going to be there, and you're going to be ready. And and I'm glad he did. But I look back,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I'll ever look back again because um, I don't know if I'm any good now, but boy, did I suck. I I
Oh
I,
my goodness, Randy, come on now.
I looked at that and I go, oh, she's. But the point is, it's funny, and this is a long way of getting to my point, which was that it's fun to have guests that like yourself that do this all the time, right? And then it's interesting to have guests, but you're kind of a guest is easier for me because I can already quit talking and let you just talk the rest of the show, which we're going to do very shortly.
I'll
But sometimes,
manage.
but sometimes you get guys that aren't used to it, right? And you want to give them
Yeah.
that opportunity because it's like you ask a question, I'll answer it, and then you
But
just
and
go,
then there's that
and then
silent
and you go,
pause,
and you go,
awkwardness, and
yep,
then you're like, can
okay,
you
I
can you
better ask.
elaborate a little bit?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, no,
no, that's about
no,
it.
that's all I got. Yeah, I started when I was 17. Where'd you start?
Yeah,
Kansas City. Uh,
yeah,
right?
right, right. Two
You know,
word answers. Beautiful.
it's good stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's fun.
anyways, Mark says good to meet you. So yeah, I will make sure that happens. So you've been doing your podcast, Sales Made Easy. How long now?
Yeah, so a friend of mine and I ran a podcast called Lead Sell Grow, the Human Experience. We brainstormed over this about a year and a half ago. And after, through that podcast, I met so many amazing people that I said, I need to do more with my life. And I actually started writing a book. And then, so after writing the book for the next 9 or 10 months, you know, thought about, well, maybe I should do my own podcast
Yeah.
instead of. So the one we were doing was really all based on the human experience. We thought it was going to be about sales and sales leadership, but it just migrated, and we just brought in people that just had great stories.
Mm,
Cancer survivors. People. I mean, just all kinds of people. People that survived IEDs in the military, and
mhm.
that were dealing with PTSD. It was just all over the place. So I wanted one that was focused on sales. And so I started this one in November, and now we're like 3 or 4 months into it, whatever the number of months is, but it's been a blast. So I learned just as much as I think I've, it's always learning about people for me. Every time you meet someone, there's value. Even with you, Randy, even
Amazing
with
as
you.
that is, amazing. That in itself, and okay, so I will Venmo after the show the $20 I promised for saying something good. So yeah, I've got my wife limits me to two Venmos. So I mean, if you want to say one more, I mean, I can
Okay.
probably
Yes. All right.
work,
Okay.
but don't do it too soon because that'll sound contrived, and we certainly
Right.
don't want
Yes,
that.
exactly. We don't want that.
So, so, but but what you just said was interesting because I my goal, Wes and I's goal with this show is to do a lot more with it than what we're doing now, and we got a lot of things in the background that we're working on.
Yeah.
But the goal
I could do like song and dance if you want. I mean, because,
we could,
I've got all kinds of skills. I can do my ACDC impersonation. I
I
can
would
do a
love
little
that.
stand up that's failed miserably. So it depends. You give me a direction. I'll be happy to fail forward for you
Fail
guys. But
forward, I like that. Fail
yeah,
forward, I love it. I love it.
but
I'm
and
thinking,
Randy, I know this is your show, but I got to give, because most people who do their own show don't get pats on the back. So I'm going to give Randy a pat on the back. I'm an old guy, a little younger than Randy. And
wow.
Randy is kicking my backside on trying new stuff. So, what I love about Randy is that he is ageless. He's trying new things, keeps the gray matter up here fresh, growing, and, just not being afraid to leave the comfort zone. So, I have tons of respect, and you're
Well,
setting the bar for me to aim higher. So,
aim
thank
higher,
you for
brother.
that.
Well, thank you. That was very, very kind. And so now you do get your next $20.
Venmo worthy? Is it
Yeah, yeah.
Venmo worthy?
You did that almost word for word the way I wrote it. You got a teleprompter in front of you. That was beautiful.
Oh my goodness, you're too
but
much.
but you talked about the comfort zone, which we're going to go back to because I like that. But bringing this to people, this is what my real goal was to do, was to expose people like yourselves and Marsh that's on right now, and but also to help people within the industry talk about what's going on in pricing, what's going on in supply chain, all those things. But what
Hmm.
you just said was interesting is that, and I think that has a lot to do with sales if you're a giver instead of a taker and selling, is that I get way more out of doing this show personally to help me be a better person, a better sales guy than I give ever. I'll never be able, if I do this for the next 20 years and we do 27 shows a week, I'll never be able to give back as much as I get
Right.
because does that make sense?
I
Just,
totally get it. Yeah.
you know, meeting guys like you and what I learned from you. And again, I I'm not trying to get $20 back, even though if you want, that's okay. But I learned so much listening to you, watching, looking at your post, an article that you just put on, post you just put on LinkedIn yesterday. We're going to talk about in a few minutes, but I learned so much from people like you guys and Marsh again that's on, and boy, it broadens. So we're always learning, and I guess maybe broach that subject a little more because I almost set it up this way with like a
Okay.
trial attorney will do with his client when he knows the answer, right?
Okay.
So let's do it this way. We'll
All
play a
right.
little role play. This will be fun.
All
Um,
right.
uh, so you never, once you learn to sell, Harry, you don't learn anymore, right? Because you've got all the answers, and so you just keep doing what you do, and you never change anything. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, that was a good lie. Well done. Well done.
I just wanted that awkward silence there
I
for
don't.
a half a second,
Okay,
mess you up.
we've already
Yeah.
established that I don't do awkward silence. If you aren't talking, I will. So,
Yeah. So the exact opposite. So I'm a huge believer that you have to own the craft. Um, so if I was a dentist, a doctor, whatever, brain surgeon, I'm pretty sure if I learned this 40 years ago, I wouldn't just rest on my laurels and say, I've seen everything. There's nothing new under the sun. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I do and miss out on this whole new world of selling. So years ago, like an example, I hear this all the time from older salespeople and say, I know everything I need to know about sales. When sales changes, that's when I'll make changes. Little do they realize, they complain because their clients go dark on it. They say, I don't understand why these people are ghosting me. They've gone dark. They don't return my calls. I said, sales has changed.
mhm,
Years ago, people looked at salespeople to provide some kind of knowledge about products or whatever, whatever was in their industry. Today, they have the internet. They don't need us nearly as much. So we've all heard that salespeople get engaged when people are very close to making or maybe they already made the decision. They just need someone to help sign off on it. So if you're not on, you're not current with that and figuring out, well, how can you start relationships when people don't want to talk to you, then you're missing out.
okay,
Right. And so people think, well, I can get in sales. I can, tell people about my product and they're going to buy from me. It just doesn't work that way anymore. So, yeah. So you've got to stay sharp to answer your
sharp.
question.
Yep. Own the craft, as you said, as
Yeah.
Marsh popped up there. That's a good one. We purpose that one, Harry. I know we will.
Okay. Yes.
I felt like we'd get one out of you. I was getting a little
Yeah.
concerned. We're 22 minutes in, and I wasn't sure, but okay, I feel better now.
Well, you got a compliment and a catchphrase that you could use.
I
So,
know that's good.
yeah,
we could just end this now, and I'll go
right.
to the restroom.
You're way ahead. You're way
I'm ahead
ahead.
of the game.
Yes.
So, well, awesome. So you wrote the book, and Selling with Dignity, which I happen to have in my little hands here, even
Nice.
signed.
It's a
Signed.
beautiful, beautiful cover, isn't it? I have
It's a
nothing
beautiful
to do with the
cover,
cover other than saying
signed
I
by
like that one.
Harry. I like it. Very, very nice. Okay, did I say signed or did I say printed? Let me see what you did. I think
No,
you
no, I
printed.
don't know. I probably, well,
You did.
I,
It is
yeah,
printed. Printed by
yes,
Harry Spaight, the
yes,
one and
yes.
only.
I'm a printer.
That's okay, but I appreciate it, and I have read the book. I don't always get a whole book read before I have somebody on. I try
Wow.
to at least
Yes.
skim.
Hmm.
I'm a very good skimmer.
Yeah.
I'm a one of kind of these kind of guys that if I could pay somebody to just, and I know there's services out there, but they
Yeah.
can just cliff note things because that's
Please. Cliff
really
notes.
really more
Yes.
me. But
I get you.
very very good, and it speaks to where I've, especially the last several years, many years I've been doing this. We've established forever. We
Yeah.
established this when I was on your podcast that 4+ decades is is a vanity thing for me because I could really claim a little bit more than that. But do not say
Yeah.
that, Harry. Wes has
I'm
got
not
his
going to.
fingers on the
Two.
off button, so okay.
Two
Any,
plus decades.
okay, that's I like that. But when I was a young sales guy, I was in the mindset that it's talk as much as I can talk, dazzle them with BS, and just go for the jugular. And it was all about me selling something to make a commission,
Hmm.
right? And I I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I could tell with having conversations with you in the past, but uh, I started selling more and better and more successfully when I stopped selling. That doesn't mean I
Yeah.
stopped closing,
Yeah.
right? Because a good friend of our show and of Wes and I, Ben Gay the third, writes the series The Closers, right? And that's an awesome series of books. Always believe in closing, but doing it in a systematic way that is looking out for and doing it correctly and doing it for the benefit of the customer, correct?
Yeah. I mean, so closing to me is asking for the business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think closing needs to be some manipulating, like people lead people down this path of yeses. Say yes like a million times. They're going to say yes for the order. I'm not saying I never experimented with that stuff. I did, but it's just not natural, right? So we're doing is we're asking for the business. We're providing so much value. We get to the right to ask for the business.
Right.
We earn the right to ask for the business. That's all.
And
And the way we do it, it doesn't have to be manipulating. We don't have to give them an alternative close. I mean, all of the tricks, I mean, there's all kinds of sales tricks. And I mean, I'm not saying you don't have, you can, but it's just not for me. And
right.
so what I've learned that being a consultant and consultative selling is not about closing. It's about being asked for the business. So I've had over the years many people say to me, "What do we have to do to get this going?" Right? The client, the prospect has asked me, right? Because it's so natural. You set everything up right and they want to do it and then they're asking you. And it's fun to play it as a little bit of a game,
Mhm.
right? Where you're kind of just saying, I'm going to see if they ask me versus do I really need to ask for this order? And sometimes you do, but when it's a craft, you get to understand the human psychology that people want something. They know, they see value in what you're doing and how you're offering it, and then it can happen very naturally. And you have relationships for life that way, just like you do, right? You have friends that end up doing business with you, and because you treated them as friends.
Right. And boy, that's and that's the key. I would hate to just like as we talked about earlier, come off an 11-day run, seeing nobody but quote clients, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Right.
that
Yeah.
would be a long week and a half.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
but it wasn't a long week and a half. It was a fun-filled week and a half that went just like that because every day I get to go see customer friends, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
heavy emphasis on the friends, and then they
Yeah.
become customers via the stuff like you said, the stuff we do.
Yeah. But if
The
you're out manipulating and gouging and taking advantage of people that don't know any better and you're doing all those things, then you're number one, you're not sleeping well at night, and number two, you're not referring to all these people as your friends. And by the way, they're not referring to you as
right,
their friend either, right? So
exactly,
yeah, if I
exactly.
said that right.
I got it. I think
Yeah, English is
so. That's
my 14th language sometimes,
I
but
understand. I speak. I tend to speak. I speak mid Michigan hillbilly,
yeah.
which is where I grew up,
All right. The
and
UP baby. You're not the UP guy
I'm
though.
not the UP though. No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. I
Yeah.
way we were trolls. They were the Upers, but we're the trolls that live under the bridge up there. And but
Gotcha.
but I got closer now. I live closer in the summer to the bridge than I did. We're about an hour from there now, but I used to live like way downstate. Downstate is
Hmm.
another term we use. And
Okay.
then if you get over to Detroit, then it's downriver because there's a river and you're downriver. But anyway, little
We
geography lesson.
digress.
We digress quickly. It
Yes.
doesn't take
So
very
what
long.
do you think of this whole growth zone versus, the fixed, I don't know if it's called fixed mindset, growth mindset.
Well, yeah, I think
What
let's.
has gotten you into all of the crazy things that you're doing these days, like live video and so
Yeah.
forth? What made you do that?
Well, well, thanks for the question, and it's interesting because uh, 2 years ago, and you look at things, monumental things happen in life, right? And
Hmm.
it was a monumental thing, which is a word I'm getting really tired, and I'm convinced that one of these days I'm going to stop saying the word COVID. I'm like beyond done with it. But prior to that, I was pretty content, pretty used to, and pretty darn good at being a hashtag Road Warrior Randy guy, right? That was my persona, that was my life, that's what I did.
Yep.
Um, but then all of a sudden, I couldn't. And when it became clear that I couldn't for the till 2 weeks became who knows how long it would be, I had to figure out something else to do. And and I'm still very blessed to have got involved with a mastermind group uh, called Megamind that both Wes and I are still members of. And we learned with each other to expand our horizons beyond just getting on a plane or getting in a car and loading some samples in the trunk and driving 600 miles, because we had no choice, right? So
Hmm.
I'd like to say that I was just massively forthright and saw the future and so brilliant that I saw this. I will say that, but I will give myself a kudo from the standpoint that I saw the change, I grasped the change,
Mm.
I learned to like the change, and now I love my life in the world of sales better than I ever did because I still get to do the whole road warrior thing,
Yeah.
but I can augment in between with stuff like this. I'm doing it in my office today because I got home. Last week I did it from the road in a hotel room. I've got to talk to Wes after the show because our buddy Barry that popped on a little while ago. I've got to figure out a way. I may literally have to do it from a car next week, right? Because it's but that's okay
Yeah.
because like you had mentioned earlier, always revolving, always looking for a new way to do things. As Marsh said, it gives you a new purpose. You get a new purpose every day, right, Marsh? I love that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, to answer your question, uh, I don't. I the biggest thing somebody asked me this the other day, and since you decided to become host, and that's fine. I'm just kidding you. That was very good. I love the reversal there. That's awesome. Uh, maybe and you're better, which is really bugging me. But anyway, I learned to to be an adapter, and that's what I learned over the last couple of years, or especially not. And the important part here is this: not just doing these shows and picking up my iPhone and shooting a video text, which I do quite a bit, or
Hmm.
sending text with bomb on email. A lot of posting on stuff all day long
Yeah.
and
See,
videos
it's
and
crazy.
stuff. But all
Crazy
that's
good.
important. But here's the most important part, I think. Here, I'd love your take on this as we kind of wrap towards the end here.
Okay.
Is I became an adapter. It's not what I adapted already, but it's the fact that now I understand that I can adapt on the spot, on the go, by the minute, if
Hmm.
necessary, right? And
Yeah.
not fear it. And that's what we talk about, getting out of the comfort zone. Thank you, Marsh. Um, Getting out of the comfort zone, and let's talk about that as your post yesterday. But why do we fear things? Because we've all talked about, somebody famous, I think it was a president or somebody said, nothing to fear but fear itself. Uh, Most of what we fear and worry about doesn't happen anyways, or it never will
Right.
be as bad as it was. You just spend all that time, and all you're doing is 10x in the fear because even if it does happen, you've just spent like what 9 months worrying about it, right? And so you've
Yeah.
over and over and over and over. So you put a post out yesterday, and let's finish with this, I think, and then whatever you want to talk about at the end. But you put a post. You said, "What's your thoughts on fear? How do we step out of the comfort zone?" Tell me what you mean by that. 'Cause I read it and I loved it, but give me your take.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for asking. I think that the challenge that we have as people is that we don't necessarily like trying new things because we think we're going to fail. And, we'll say things like, I'm not very good at this. I just heard someone say, I'm not very good on the computer, or I'm not very good with Excel, or I'm not very good with meeting people for the first time. Whenever we say that, we manifest it, right? So, I mean, before I knew what manifest was, I knew that if we had negative thinking, it was going to impact us. What I didn't realize that where it showed up in my own life. So I brought out the story about the radio years ago
Mm-hmm.
purposely because that was the fixed mindset, right? So
Right.
I did not pursue that dream because I feared getting turned down again.
Right.
I wasn't, but there are other times in my life where, we ended up moving cold to the Dominican Republic, pretty much not knowing anybody and finding places to live and all of that. And it's just like sometimes we can do things that are completely about growth, and other times they're not. And so my goal in the post was what holds us back, right? So that post was graphic because it's looking down, about 100 floors through a glass floor, and, a lot of times people have fear of heights, but, the glass is pretty thick, right? You're not gonna break through the glass,
Right.
but our imagination gets us to the point where it's like, well, maybe something could happen and I could go through, and that's it. It's the imagination. So when a friend asked me about podcasting, a couple of years ago, the first time he asked me, I said no, because I was afraid. Then he asked me a few months later, and he said, "So what about podcasting?" And I went, "Yes." And the difference between the two was the first time he asked me cold, the second time he asked me after I did a video, and I was like shaking and trembling that I put a video out on social. And he says, "That's awesome, Harry. You ready to do a podcast now?" I'm like, "Sure. What the hell? Absolutely. Let's do it." Right. And,
Yep.
so you get in these moments in life where sometimes you're fearless, but when you're not and you're fearful, it's just reevaluate and just take a look at it and say, what's the reason here? And, that's where I try to live, is in that spot where keep trying new things like you do.
Hmm. Yeah, because the beauty of trying new things is even if you fail, uh, most of the time it's not going to be a life altering. I mean, it's mindful
No.
things that we try, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I said, the very first live show I did with Wes, I mean, I saw it. I hated it. I go back when I look at it, I hated it. I just didn't like anything about it. It was just,
But you can laugh at it though,
but yeah,
right?
because
Yeah.
but the point is, a it was the very first one, so nobody watched it anyway. So that was
True.
that.
All seven, right?
All seven people, and five of them were my kids. But but secondarily,
Right.
my next one was like astronomically better. Not
Hmm.
near as good as I hope I've got since, but it's
Yeah.
because I'm coming from a spot of I learned what I didn't want to do, right? And I learned that I can be more confident because what's the worst case? I say something stupid.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
yeah, big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
and I look at it, it's like, we talk about, comedians, uh, they picture the audience naked. They do all these things. To keep them from being fearful. Uh,
Yeah.
the one thing I would tell anybody, and as if they want to do podcasting, that I found is, you know what? I may screw up. I may stumble once in a while over a word or forget what I wanted to say for a second or whatever. But um, I'm getting better every day. But secondarily, you ain't doing it. So, you step out of your comfort zone and you
Right.
go do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Because otherwise, don't worry about it. Who
Yeah.
cares? It's not a big deal. And
Yeah.
and I think but well, awesome. So get out of the comfort zone.
Get out of the comfort zone, and even like when it comes to sales, like you're kind of a natural person, relationship guy. I am too, but when I first had to make phone calls, that was not comfortable for me. When I found out that sales meant calling strangers, I'm like, and it took a little bit, right? But once I started doing it, right, you get the first, and I always made a joke. It's like, I wish I could start all over with the people I called the first time in a day,
Yeah.
right? So I start a whole new prospecting list of the first called people because I always butchered the first call. But then I had some laughs. It's like, yeah, that was good. The next one will be better. And
Yep.
after 4 or 5 in, then you just start to smooth out and relax. But just so many people in business, they'll text, they'll email, you know, but they don't want to pick up the phone. They could get an answer immediately almost
Right.
by just pressing in the number. I used to say
Right.
dialing, but we don't dial
Yeah.
anymore.
We don't die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So what do you think, Randy?
I think that was awesome.
Yeah, it's a good
Brilliant.
answer.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
That was a
okay.
great answer. Yeah.
I love brilliance.
Did you just make that up on the spot, or was that like
No, no, no. There's nothing. No,
no?
this is well rehearsed. It's well scripted. I've got all kinds of stuff
I get
here.
perfect. Perfect.
Stack of stuff. Got all the answers right
There you
there.
go. Yeah. Harry, the answer man Spaight. I like that. You can use that.
Yeah.
There's no charge.
Okay,
So,
great.
yeah.
And I'm a road warrior and
Yes.
something else. And I'm
Yeah.
also the own the craft guy.
Yeah. Own the craft guy.
Yeah,
Look at that. Yeah.
I'm going
Pro-
to trade TM the own the craft, so I don't see it pop up on your show all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'll always say per my great friend Harry Spaight. Then I'm good,
Okay,
right?
well, all right,
Yeah.
good. That'd be
Per,
for the first time you use it. The second time, it's been said.
uh, yeah, there you go. All right. Well, Harry,
Uh,
any final words you'd like to have? I appreciate it. We've already, I promised you 30 minutes and we got 40, but
yeah, I know you. This has been a blast, Randy. And if I could say one thing for those of you who are struggling in sales, be like Randy. He
whoa.
he has it down. It's got that. He doesn't care about perfection. Clearly shows, right? He's a person that smiles, looks in the eyes of people, and truly cares. You do those things, and oh, by the way, just ask for the business.
Ask the
Good
business.
things will happen.
Yes.
Be like
Yes.
Randy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I want to end with the one thing too, Harry, that you said earlier is if you do all the right stuff with the customer, you take care of them, you let them know you care about them, you're going to do, and you present them with what you believe. And that's the key. You believe by asking them questions and listening and caring about what they do that this is a good product for them, a good service for them, a good whatever. Uh, you have now earned the right to ask for the business. And I think that's important. I think you start asking for the business before you've earned the right to ask, you're going to get a no every time, probably.
Yeah,
Right? So you got to
true.
earn that right. And I feel like when you earn the right, you have every right to then go, Harry. Let's. I think we've answered the questions, right? Let's. The only thing I can't do now with all this stuff I told you and all this rapport that we've developed is we got to give it a shot, right? We just got to give
Yeah,
it a shot,
exactly. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
So what do you think, right? You do everything. It's like, so what do you think? And they say it looks pretty good. Do you want
I
to make
think,
it official?
yeah,
Right? Do you
yeah,
want to make
right,
it official? It doesn't have to be.
exactly,
Let me get the contract out.
yeah.
Right? Do you want to make it official? You want to draw it up?
Yes, I'll draw. There's a
Right?
lot of little code words,
Yeah.
or one that my son that's been in home sales for a long time, Corey. He always used to like to say sometimes with metal roofing in house is at the very end, press hard. There's three copies.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Good stuff. Well, Harry,
Yeah.
I appreciate you, my friend. And if you
Yeah.
want to hang
Likewise.
on for a second, we'll get you out of here quick. But we'll go eat a grape and a glass of water in the green room, and
All right.
we'll be right there.
Happy to do so. It's been a
Okay.
blast.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
my
so
friend.
much for having me, Randy.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers.
You betcha.
All right. I told you this would be two sales guys chatting. I could have went about 3 hours with that. Harry is you got to read the book. Get the book. Read the book, and it's very well done. And I wasn't just blowing smoke at Harry. I have read the whole book. I'm going to read it again. It's good stuff. Selling with Dignity is where it's at. Catch these podcasts, selling or Sales Made Easy, and you'll enjoy that. And other than that, I just want to tell you again, Harry, I know you're looking in the background there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And we got two things coming up before we get out of here. On Tuesday of next week, we have a special edition with my friends from Western. There we go. Pop it up from Western States Metal Roofing. We got Mike Rubio and Ray Kimball. They are out in the Phoenix, Arizona, and I believe they just opened. I know they just opened a branch in Texas. These are guys that are in my industry that just do some amazing stuff in the metal roofing industry. They are not a customer of mine, so there's no gain from that one for them being on. And for all that, I share a lot of their stuff every day because I believe you have to live in the industry that feeds you, right? And I've lived in this industry my whole life, and I share so much stuff out with these guys. Somebody asked me the other day, "Why do you share much stuff? You do? Yeah, I know them. They're friends. I've become good friends with these people, but they just bring some great stuff to the table, and you're going to love all my metal roofing people. You're going to love their story and what they do, how they started, the products they have. And talk about innovators. Marshall was so nice to use that word earlier. They are truly innovators in the metal roofing industry. So that'll be a special edition on Tuesday. And then next week, Friday, normal time, we've got my friend who was popped on earlier. I think he went and took a nap because it is late. Barry Brocksterman. Barry is a sales warrior in his own right. He's been around doing sales for a long time. He's owned a lumberyard and a truss factory in the past. We're going to talk about his road to what he does now in the metal roofing and post frame building industry. So we're going to get some sales guru-ism, I think we'll call that. I made that up. That's a mid-Michigan hillbillyism. And secondary, we're going to talk about the industry with a guy that's just a brother, man. He's a bud. He's a pal. We spent a lot of time in a lot of cities together at trade shows, and you're gonna love Barry. So that'll be next week. So two next week, two. You're gonna love it. So, anyways, until then, remember what I've just been doing right here today. There's the most important words. I say a lot of stuff. Most some of it I even remember after I said it. But one of the most important things is to love what you do and do what you love. And I do that. I'm doing that right now. I just got home about 3 hours ago from 11 days of doing what I love and what I'm loving what I do. And other most important thing is make today your best day ever until tomorrow. That's it, my friends. Cheers.